The Crucible of Shadows, A Tale of Triumph and Reckoning. Part 1, Whispers of Shadows. In the serene town of Brighton, the grand Victorian manor of the Williams family stood as a testament to tradition and prosperity. Edward and Margaret Williams had raised 3 children, Alexander, Daniel, and Emily. Alexander, the eldest, was a beacon of their aspirations, his life a polished reflection of their dreams. His achievements were celebrated, his presence a source of unwavering pride. Daniel, the middle child, found his world painted in shades of quiet melancholy. He sought refuge in the luminous landscapes of video games, a realm where he felt a sense of belonging, a stark contrast to the judgment he faced at home. His father, Edward, often regarded him with a mix of disappointment and resigned frustration, while even Margaret's gentle heart couldn't fully bridge the chasm of misunderstanding. Only Emily, with her quiet empathy, offered a sanctuary, a silent understanding that transcended words. One twilight evening, Daniel's life was unexpectedly disrupted. A local convenience store had been robbed, and Daniel, returning from a walk, found himself entangled in the aftermath. The shattered glass and hushed anxieties of the scene painted him as a suspect, an unfortunate twist of fate. The police, their expressions etched with weary skepticism, viewed Daniel through the lens of local perception, a young man perceived as idle and aimless. His gentle protests were met with polite but firm skepticism, and he was taken into custody. At the Williams manor, Edward's reaction was a somber blend of anger and disappointment. Alexander, ever composed figure, offered to intervene, his voice laced with a subtle note of control. He arrived at the police station, his presence a study in composed elegance, a stark contrast to the stark reality of the situation. He secured Daniel's release, but his words carried a sting of unspoken judgment. "If I hadn't come, you would have been in a difficult situation," he said, his tone measured, yet laced with a subtle condescension. Back at the manor, the atmosphere was heavy with unspoken disapproval. Edward, his gaze filled with quiet sadness, presented Daniel with a gentle ultimatum, yet one with an unyielding core. "We hope you will find a more productive path." Daniel, his voice barely a whisper, attempted to explain, but his words were met with a gentle but firm silence. He was asked to leave, a request cloaked in politeness, yet unyielding in its finality. Daniel found himself adrift, a solitary figure in the familiar streets of Brighton. Each polite refusal from potential employers, each gentle glance of pity, chipped away at his spirit. He sought refuge with his friend, Leo Carter, who offered him a quiet space in his shared apartment. Leo, with his gentle demeanor and unwavering support, introduced Daniel to Anna Mitchell, a game developer whose passion was matched by her quiet determination. Anna saw a spark of creativity in Daniel, a unique perspective that resonated with her. She assembled a team of kindred spirits. Ben, an artist whose work possessed a delicate, haunting beauty. Sarah, a sound designer who wove intricate soundscapes with a gentle touch. And Mark, a programmer whose quiet brilliance could solve any technical challenge. Their project, Shadow Empire, was a labor of love, a game that explored themes of empathy and understanding. They faced challenges, quiet setbacks that tested their resolve. Yet, Daniel's gentle persistence and creative vision kept the project moving forward. Meanwhile, at the Williams manor, a subtle shift was occurring. Alexander, burdened by the weight of maintaining his perfect image, had turned to gambling, a quiet addiction that threatened to unravel his carefully constructed life. His losses mounted, his anxiety grew, and he found himself making increasingly desperate choices. News of Alexander's financial ruin reached Daniel, a quiet echo in his new life. He felt a sense of unease, a gentle intuition that something was amiss. He began to explore the digital threads of Alexander's life, discovering encrypted messages and subtle financial anomalies. He also noticed subtle disturbances in his own life, quiet intrusions that suggested he was being observed. His apartment was visited, not by thieves, but by those seeking information. His team servers experienced gentle disruptions, a quiet warning. One evening, while working late, he discovered a hidden message within the Shadow Empire code, a series of delicate symbols and a gentle, yet unsettling phrase. The game is but a reflection of a larger design. Daniel realized that his game, his family's troubles, and the subtle disturbances in his life were all intertwined, part a larger, delicately woven tapestry. He was on the verge of uncovering a secret, a gentle yet powerful secret, that someone was determined to keep hidden. The air was filled with gentle suspense, a quiet anticipation of the unraveling mysteries. Daniel, now a player in a game far larger than he imagined, was about to discover the delicate balance between shadows and light. Part 2. The Unveiling of Truths. The hidden message within Shadow Empire's code. The game is but a reflection of a larger design, echoed in Daniel's mind, a haunting refrain that spurred him into action. He knew he was no longer just a game developer. He was a player in a dangerous game, one where the stakes were far higher than he had ever imagined. He began to delve deeper into the encrypted messages and financial anomalies he had discovered in Alexander's digital trail. He found a network of shell corporations and offshore accounts, a labyrinth of deceit that hinted at a much larger conspiracy. It wasn't just gambling debts. It was something far more sinister. Meanwhile, at the Williams Manor, the atmosphere was thick with despair. Edward and Margaret, stripped of their illusions of a perfect family, were left to grapple with the reality of Alexander's betrayal. They were ostracized by their social circle, their reputation tarnished, their world turned upside down. Daniel, driven by a growing sense of urgency, shared his findings with Anna, Leo, Ben, Sarah, and Mark. The team, initially skeptical, were soon drawn into the intrigue, their combined skills proving invaluable. Ben, with his artistic eye, deciphered the cryptic symbols in the hidden message, revealing a series of coordinates. Sarah, with her expertise in audio analysis, detected subtle patterns in the server disruptions, pinpointing the source of the intrusions. Mark, with his programming prowess, traced the encrypted messages to a hidden server located beneath a seemingly abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Brighton. Daniel decided to investigate the warehouse, accompanied by Leo and Anna. They found the building heavily fortified, with sophisticated security systems and surveillance cameras. Inside, they discovered a hidden server farm, humming with activity. They accessed the main server, uncovering a trove of data that revealed a complex web of corporate espionage, financial manipulation, and political influence. Alexander, it seemed, had been involved in a scheme far beyond his capabilities, a pawn in a larger game orchestrated by powerful individuals. The data also revealed a connection to Shadow Empire. The game, it turned out, was not just a source of entertainment. It was a tool, a platform for gathering data and influencing public opinion. The developers had been unknowingly used, their creation repurposed for nefarious purposes. As Daniel and his team delved deeper, they discovered that the conspiracy reached the highest levels of government and industry. Powerful individuals were using the game to manipulate markets, influence elections, and control the flow of information. They were creating a digital empire, a shadow government that operated in the shadows, unseen and unchallenged. They also discovered that Daniel's arrest was not a random act of misfortune. It was a deliberate attempt to discredit him, to silence him before he could uncover the truth. The convenience store robbery had been staged, the evidence planted, the police manipulated. Daniel realized that he and his team were in grave danger. They were now targets, their lives threatened by the very individuals they were trying to expose. They decided to go public, to reveal their findings to the world. They contacted a trusted journalist, a seasoned investigative reporter named Eleanor Vance, who had a reputation for uncovering corruption and speaking truth to power. Eleanor, intrigued by their story, agreed to help them. She began to investigate, verifying her findings and preparing to publish a bombshell report. Meanwhile, at the Williams Manor, Edward and Margaret were visited by Detective Inspector Graham, who had been investigating Thomas Ashton's accident. Graham revealed that Alexander's activities had been under scrutiny for some time, and that his gambling debts were just the tip of the iceberg. He also revealed that the accident that had placed Thomas in the hospital was not an accident at all, but a deliberate attempt to silence him, to keep him from exposing Alexander's activities. Edward and Margaret were devastated, their world crumbling around them. They realized that they had been blind, their love for Alexander blinding them to his true nature. They also realized that they had wronged Daniel, their prejudice and neglect pushing him away, leaving him to face his trials alone. As Eleanor Vance's report was about to be published, Daniel and his team were ambushed. They were attacked by a group of mercenaries, hire to silence them. A fierce battle ensued, with Daniel and his team using their combined skills to defend themselves. Leo, with his tech expertise, disabled the mercenaries' weapons. Sarah, with her knowledge of sound, created sonic distractions. Ben, with his artistic skills, created holographic illusions. And Mark, with his programming skills, hacked into the mercenaries' communication systems. Despite their efforts, they were outnumbered and outgunned. They were captured and taken to a hidden location, a remote island off the coast of Brighton. On the island, they were interrogated by the leaders of the conspiracy, powerful individuals who were determined to protect their secrets. They revealed their plans to create a digital empire, to control the world through information manipulation and technological dominance. Daniel, despite his fear, refused to be intimidated. He challenged their motives, their methods, their very existence. He argued that their actions were not only illegal but also immoral, that they were destroying the very fabric of society. His words resonated with some of the mercenaries, who were beginning to question their own roles in the conspiracy. They realized that they were not just following orders. They were complicit in a scheme that was destroying lives and undermining democracy. A rebellion broke out, with the mercenaries turning against their employers. Daniel and his team, along with the rebels, fought their way to the main control center, where they uploaded the data they had gathered, exposing conspiracy to the world. The world reacted with shock and outrage. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding the arrest of conspirators. Governments launched investigations, seizing assets and arresting those involved. Alexander, facing a lifetime in prison, finally confessed his crimes, revealing the names of his accomplices and the extent of their operations. Edward and Margaret, their hearts filled with remorse, publicly apologized to Daniel, acknowledging their mistakes and praising his courage. Daniel and his team were hailed as heroes, their actions credited with saving the world from a digital tyranny. Shadow Empire was transformed, its data-gathering capabilities repurposed for public good, its platform used to promote transparency and accountability. Daniel returned to Brighton, a changed man. He had faced his demons, confronted his past, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. He had not only achieved success, but had also found the strength to forgive and rebuild his family. He visited his parents at the Williams Manor, now a symbol of their redemption. He found them humbled, their hearts filled with love and gratitude. He also visited Alexander in prison, offering him a chance to redeem himself, to use his knowledge and skills for good. Daniel had discovered the delicate balance between shadows and light, a balance that had tested his resilience and redefined his understanding of family and forgiveness. He had learned that true power was not about control and manipulation, but about empathy, compassion, and the unwavering belief in the human spirit.